same. We share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spread peace and joy, both sides. Together we shine in each other's light. Together we stand, in love's pure mind. Watching the world shine love and light. Hearts beating our peace flag. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand, in love's pure mind.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. Tonight we have special guests coming on tonight. The twins will be in the building to talk about two of the most intriguing cases we have right now, Nolan Wells and Karmelo Anthony. But before we bring them on a little bit later, we're going to go over a few different topics that, to me, are amazing. I'm in a petty mood tonight, so we're going to cover some subject matter that I find a little bit funny, but it could be quite serious. We're going to get to that in regards to the Little Dirk trial. Have you guys been following Little Dirk? Well, we have some interesting news in regards to that. But before we get started with that, we're going to start off with Nancy Grace. Tonight, she premiered in regards to Nolan Wells. So we're going to check out a little bit of that and a few other subject matters too. Hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Let's see. I'm interested in finding out what is she talking about in regards to the United Cajun Navy. Let's check this out. All right. Hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel.
Nolan Wells bombshell. A witness tells us tonight, I went with Nolan's mother to the coroner's office, and this is what I saw. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us. Nolan is dead.
Could it be a decompositional change? Could it be something else like blunt force injury? It's hard to say at this point in time.
I find it very difficult to believe, Dr. Kendall Crowns, that not one, but two medical examiners cannot figure out why he had deep red subcutaneous markings. Joining us tonight, an all-star.
Now, word on the street is that the attorneys for the friends of Nolan has put the pressure on Nancy Grace. So let's see if that makes any difference in what we see tonight in regards to this. But we're just going to check out a little bit of this
Panel, but first straight to a special guest, Josh Gill with the Cajun Navy, who, as you know, searched for Nolan's body. Josh, thank you for being with us.
Remember now, when you go back to the original video where they were interviewed right after Nolan was found, he said that, I think it was the morning of Monday, the 6th of July, they found Nolan face down on the sand, okay, not in the water, but on the sand around, I think he said 8:45 in the morning a.m.
The day unfolded when Nolan's body was found very bizarrely. You were there. I'm going to get to your trip to the coroner's office along with the family, but I want you to start at the beginning. What happened at the beginning of that day? We believe that Nolan likely died on July the 4th. Let's start with the day that Nolan's body.
Now, keep in mind, in accordance to the report, right, that I believe Ben Crump came out with, they could not determine the day that he died. So she's pinning it to July the 4th.
Body was found and that you ended up at the coroner's office. Start at the beginning.
So early that morning, I deployed some resources. I deployed an aircraft, fixed-wing aircraft that wheels up at 0635, as you can see right there from the photographs. I was on my way to the Lake Morris boat.
So he identifies himself as being the individual that was flying. So that's important to know. I always wondered which one of the United Cajun Navy was actually in attendance.
Launch. That's where the Tactical Operations Center was set up. And I received a phone call. Received that phone call from the sheriff's department that a body had been found. Didn't say who it was.
So right there is the recovery of the body. You could actually see the police boats, everything that they had described in the original video.
I was probably 15 minutes out from the location. I then received a phone call within minutes after the conversation from the sheriff's office from Nolan's mother, Christine. And she was frantic. Again, that mother's intuition, she knew what was going on. So I'm meeting at the boat launch. I was there about 15 minutes ahead of time. Had
Hold on
conversations
just
with
one
the
moment.
sheriff.
Hold on. For those of you just joining us,
Yep.
Josh Gill is with us. He is the United Cajun Navy Incident Commander in the search for Nolan Wells. You stated that you received a phone call from Nolan's mother, Christine. You said she was frantic. What was she saying?
So again, I'm going to paraphrase. She said that they had found him, that they had found a body. My biggest concern at that exact moment was to make sure that she was safe, that she had, a safe way to get there.
All right, so you guys can see here, this is where the body was found in correlation to the island. This is the west northern portion of Horn Island. All right, so keep that in mind as we go through this.
Because it was the beginning of what's more than likely to be the worst day of her life. Again, so continuing on.
Hold on. Josh, you got me drinking from the fire hydrant here. Every word you're saying sparks 100 questions. So
Sure.
Nolan Wells' mother calls you. Okay. Where was she when she called?
She was en route to the boat launch as well. We were meeting there
Okay.
for the search.
Okay. Had she been told that a body had been found?
Yeah, when she called me, so we had earlier communication, but via text, when she called me, she told me that a body had been found. She had been notified by the sheriff's department.
Oh,
I run a podcast solo.
All right, so that gives us a little idea in regards to what's actually on her show for tonight. I just wanted to touch on it a little bit. Again, we're going to be having the twins on any moment now. There's another video I want to show you guys in regards to something that happened to Sean Diddy Combs' case. I don't know if I ever told you guys that on the last day of Sean Diddy Combs' trial, there was a major issue with individuals being approached by individuals that knew Diddy. And so they actually ran a couple people off of the property. I'm not sure if I went through that in detail. But today, in regards to Little Dirk's trial, there's a YouTuber. His name is Trap Lore, I believe. Anyway, he's facing a lot of heat because of this whole snitching discussion that's happening in regards to Little Dirk. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys have heard about that. Put a 2 if you're not familiar with Little Dirk or the fact that he is having a trial right now out in LA. One of his attorneys actually is the same attorney that Sean Diddy Combs had. His name is Brian Steele. He's quite the attorney. He's quite amazing. Okay, Phil James is not familiar with New Jersey and is. Well, anyway, the big discussion came out yesterday. It was very reminiscent in regards to Sean Diddy Combs, because a lot of people are actually saying Little Dirk is snitching or whatever. Well, the thing is, when you cover these cases, this is a key moment in time, because a lot of times you're just reporting whatever you deem is necessary, your point of view, entering the court. But like in the case of Diddy, he had fans that were actually outside of the courthouse. So who knew that some of those fans on the last day would come and really put the screws or put pressure on people that had been slanting or not speaking so favorable of Sean Diddy Combs. A lot of these individuals came straight out of Brooklyn, and so we know Brooklyn does not play games. So what we find today all over the news is that quite a few people are being pressed in regards to Little Dirk's trial. We're going to cover that trial. We're also going to cover the trial in regards to Tupac. Okay, so all of that and more we're going to get into. And at some point, we're going to bring on the twins who we're going to have an open discussion. I put the link in the chat. We're expecting them to be here anytime to talk about Carmelo Anthony's trial, because keep in mind, or his hearing, they actually attended each day in the main courtroom in regards to Carmelo Anthony. So I know we didn't get a chance to finish the segment because actually while that was happening, the denial actually came in from the judge saying that he would not get a new trial. So based on that, that really had shaken some people right to their heels. So therefore, we decided just to hold off a couple of days before we actually get into the rest of their notes. We're not going to get into every day, but we are going to have a tough discussion tonight about these two cases. So make sure you stick around because you will have an opportunity to express yourself as well. The other thing I want to talk about before I bring them on while I'm waiting is in regards to Carmelo Anthony. The other day I came and I showed you guys various transcripts in regards to Carmelo Anthony's case, right? We talked about that. One of the key factors that I broke down is in regards to who arrived in the tent first. And I showed you that Carmelo Anthony actually came after the twins. What's so nice about the fact that they had the hearing is that this new judge, or at least we have the transcripts released now. Judge Roach was not so adamant about releasing the transcripts, really breaking down all of the details, what everyone said in regards to this trial. Remember, when I attended the court, there are a lot of things that I stated and many people were pushing back on. Well, if you have any of those issues, all you have to do is talk about it, and I can show you from the transcripts various details of what the individuals who came into court and testified what they really said. For instance, we have the example now. Remember during the trial, I told you guys that one of the boys, Hudson, had testified that Austin did a lineman's drill on Carmelo. Now, what in the world is a lineman's drill? Okay. But that was brought out in the trial. So now, if you were an individual that was disputing that or saying, oh, no, Austin only gave him a light push on the shoulder, well, now's a good time for you to speak your piece because we can actually go to the transcripts and actually look at these points. There was another guy in relation to Carmelo Anthony's trial. His name was Jay, and he's the one that explained in detail how Austin went to grab as though he's lifting up or pulling up Carmelo. A lot of people said, no, that's not what we heard from Fox News. That's not what we heard from News Nation. But now the transcripts are out, and that's the beautiful part about going to court, because even though we take out a lot of time to go to court, like there's various cases that are happening right now. We have Little Dirk, Tupac, and other cases that are developing. Okay, we were supposed to cover Luigi Mangione, but that case is on hold. Not even sure it's going to see the light of day. But at any rate, even though we come out and explain to you the various details of what we hear in court, the beautiful part is that we also can pull out the transcripts to show you what's really happening in regards to the case. And so that's what I'm going to do, not at this show, but we're going to look at some of the key points where a lot of the trolls will come into the chat and says, oh, no, that was not in court. The witnesses never said that Austin was trying to do football moves. Remember, let's go back to around the time of the trial. When you listen to the mainstream media, all you hear is, oh, yeah, Austin was like a altar boy. Carmelo was smart, but he did a bad deed, right? No one was really breaking down all of the things that these boys were doing in the background or from their past. Well, we know why that's the case now, but we did not know while the trial was actually happening, right? Because we kept wondering, why in the world do we not hear certain things about this case. It seems like everybody has their hands tied. For instance, with Carmelo Anthony, his attorneys appeared to be asleep at the wheel, not bringing out any of the deeds that the other side had did, right? Obviously, if you're going to protect Carmelo Anthony, we want to hear about what Austin was doing. Maybe there was something that they did that prompted Carmelo to do what he did. Or what about the prosecution? They did not tell us a whole lot in regards to Carmelo Anthony. But lo and behold, at this hearing that we're going to hear about extensively tonight from the twins, that's when we started to find out, oh, wow, you mean to tell me these boys, the twins, were out here roughhousing people? I've never heard his fathers or their fathers speak ill in regards to bad behavior. So were you shocked when you heard some of the details that came out in the hearing? What did you think about that? Spray painting racial slurs on buildings almost has a poetic touch to it. Racial slurs on buildings, right? What prompted them to do that? And how come during the trial we did not hear about that? Isn't that important? Right? Or what about in regards to Carmelo Anthony? Some terrible things came out, right? A lot of people say, well, it's all attributed to Roblox. But quite frankly, when you look at the facts of the matter, I think that's a stretch to include all those items under that umbrella. But at any rate, we have to wonder why a new trial was denied. We already showed you here on this channel that when it comes to Carmelo Anthony and what happened under the tent that day, that there was more than one individual actually closing in on Carmelo Anthony. Put a 1 in the chat if you think that more than one person attacked Carmelo Anthony under the tent. Now we know what he did, okay? But we're talking about a specific matter of what happened under the tent. Because keep in mind, put a 2 if you don't think so. All right. I want to get a feel for what everybody in the audience has to say in regards to what precipitated all of this happening under the tent. See, when I attended the trial and I listened to the opening arguments, which we now have in the transcripts, you could clearly hear Bill Worski painting the picture that Carmelo woke up that morning as a man on a mission and he was looking to take someone out. See, that's a very important key when you're actually looking at this particular situation or this particular trial. See, we didn't understand, we didn't get a chance to hear about the storyline that came out during the hearings that made them believe that this was the case. So now we start to understand. So they're giving us the context of Carmelo Anthony was a man on a mission, but then the defense never told us why he had a tool or a knife on him in the first place. So the prosecution is really laying their case down heavy, but the defense was just standing there basically trying to defend Carmelo Anthony, but to no avail because they had this secret gentleman's deal. So what did you think about the gentleman's deal when everybody told you about it, if you heard about it over the last 3 or 4 days? Put a 1 in the chat now if you've heard about the gentleman's deal. Put a 2 if you haven't. Let's see who's really up to speed on this particular case. I'm going to try to get to some of the comments. I see them flying through, but we're trying to set the stage so that when I bring up the twins, we have a clear understanding of what we're covering tonight. Now, nobody's here saying, because we get these people coming into the chat saying, oh, he killed a guy. Okay, we understand that. So that's not the dispute. That's not the discussion. What we're talking about today, we're trying to glean and learn from these cases because most people probably have not heard about a gentleman's deal before last week. Now, while the trial was happening, we often would tell you that there was a deal because I heard it through the grapevine about this type of deal. So we were probably the first ones to actually tell you that there was a deal prohibiting a lot of the facts that come out in regards to the case, right? Let's see here. Advocate says, I think the gentleman's agreement is suspicious. Yes, indeed. So let me tell you now, I don't know without a shadow of a doubt, but I'm going to give you my interpretation as a individual that was sitting in the courtroom. Guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel. We have a great show for you tonight. We have some guests that are coming on. We're just waiting for them to arrive. Hit the like, share, subscribe, and also hit the hearts to keep us in the algorithm. But I'm going to break down to you tonight why I think they had a gentleman's deal. This is strictly my opinion. Okay. Now, when I showed you guys the actual video, you can see that there's two individuals that are engaged with Karmelo Anthony. If some of you are still having trouble with it, I can show you the video again, but I'm going to assume that most of you have seen the video that I broke it down for you, showing that there's two people under the tent that are involved physically with Karmelo Anthony. So I think we're beyond that. And I think that's the reason why they had this gentleman's deal in the first place, right? See, with the gentleman's deal, you can't talk about the bad deeds of Austin. And also, you can't bring up Hunter, because when you listen to what Hunter says on the lawn when he's with his mother, he makes a statement saying that him and his brother did everything together. Okay, so keep that in mind as we talk about the breakdown of this. So I show you in the video, I showed you already, there's two people fighting with Karmelo Anthony. Also, at the hearing last week, Mike Howard, who was the main attorney for Karmelo Anthony, he said that Hunter was the first to move on Karmelo, then Austin. So imagine that. Imagine you being a guy that's 130, 140 pounds, and you have two guys coming at you. We know the weight of Austin was 225 pounds. He was 6'1". In court, we learned that Hunter was a little lighter. In fact, there's also a video where the mother says that Hunter was a little lighter than the brother. I'm talking about he's not as heavy as Austin. Okay. So now you had these two individuals involved with Karmelo Anthony, but that doesn't get discussed in court. You know why? Because of a gentleman's deal. Okay. Even though this was key to what happened under the tent that day. So now you have the defense. They're in faint of fear because they didn't want to violate this gentleman's deal. So they're, in a way, prohibited from talking about a lot of the key details in regards to what happened, right? It's easy for the lines to be blurred. Keep in mind that you know what triggered the gentleman's deal being broken? In the opening arguments, I heard Bill Worski. He got up in court. I'm sitting there behind Karmelo Anthony. The jurors are there. You have Judge Roach, right, sitting. But then when you have Mike Howard, he gave the opening arguments, right, where you set the stage for the entire trial. And you know what he said that was used against Karmelo Anthony and ultimately set him in a pace where he couldn't even testify? He says that Karmelo enjoyed chess. I remember distinctly because I was sitting in the courtroom. He says Karmelo enjoyed camping and he enjoyed chess. And so toward the end of the trial, all of this exploded into being a situation that was out of control because they said, oh, he opened the door by saying Karmelo liked chess. Already this gentleman's deal was already designed. It was more profitable for the prosecution than for the defense. So then on top of that, just imagine now your client can't even speak up for himself, right? Now, this is in no way trying to condone the taking of a life. We understand. I sat through the trial. I don't need anyone to come in and say a man was killed. Also, don't need anyone to say Carmelo Anthony received 35 years. I totally get that. I was there. But what we're talking about is how in the line for justice, because a lot of people say, well, it is justice, but he should have received 99 years because that was the max in this particular case, according to the court, right? A lot of people say that. Every time we discuss this matter, and you'll see when I bring on the guests later, and I can focus more on the chat, we're going to have people coming in all night saying, oh my God, get over it. It's just like in the case of Nolan Wells, where people are saying, without any type of feelings, he drowned, get over it. And I'm like, where do you find these people at that have no regards for life, right? And again, the other night I explained to you guys, I covered Luigi Mangione's trial too, right? His hearings that were leading up to the trial. Just a week and a half ago, he actually pled guilty. But you know, the same people that come in and they easily condemn Carmelo Anthony, some of these same people, they hold Luigi Mangione as a saint. So my question is, why do we have this duality when it comes to people? Why do we have a double standard, right? We see it every day, but the question is why? But anyway, let's just stay focused on the whole Carmelo Anthony, because that's the case that our guests are going to be speaking on. As I attended the trial, right, I was traveling from New York to Dallas. The first thing that stood out to me in regards to Carmelo Anthony's trial is the fact that many people said he had an all-white jury. So then when I actually attended and I arrived and I looked at the jurors as they walked in, I realized they were not all white. So it's very important, like when we cover cases, that for the truth to be known, because if you come in, that all-white juror turned into a situation where people were saying, oh, they don't allow any blacks on his trial. And so that already set us off to a bad start. Now, I've told you guys various times the construct of the jurors. I could rattle through it again. There was 5 white ladies, 5 white men. There were 3 Middle Eastern women, 1 Middle Eastern man. There was 1 Hispanic woman. And then of the 18, the final 3 were 4 Asian women. And many people says, well, true, there's no black people there. And even though these individuals may have different makeups, right, different race or what have you, a lot of people in the comments, I see your comments, a lot of you say, well, you might as well say they're all white, because they're definitely not going to vote in favor of Carmelo Anthony. But you have to wonder why the 3 black individuals that were left in the pool, why were they struck? What do I mean by struck? The attorneys, as Calvin Johnson and Candace Kelly and other individuals, like our expert attorney Paul Murray that we have on today, they explained to us what it means, how each side is able to strike jurors until they get the final 18. And in the 18 that you have typically for these big cases, federal cases, you have 12 main jurors, and then they have 6 alternate jurors just in case some of the 12 have to leave during the trial. Some of these trials take 9 weeks or more. In the case of Sean Diddy Combs, remember, one of the jurors, he was actually kicked off the jury because he lied during the early stages of voir dire. Okay. He lied about his living arrangements and who made up his household. And just that little detail caused him to get kicked off of the jury. At this point, I'm going to bring up my guest because they want to continue to tell you guys what occurred in regards to the Carmelo Anthony hearing. So at this point, we're going to welcome on the twins. How are you?
Hello, Mel. Hello, Mel and chat. We're good. How are you?
All right, not bad. Not bad. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too, Mel. We hear you're speaking about the Carmelo Anthony trial and the makeup of the jury and different things.
Yes.
Yeah, you can go.
So tell us, we want to continue from where we left off. But now that you guys have had time to really think about it, I want you to just give me an idea of what your thoughts are at this point in regards to whether or not the final answer was fair or not.
So, of course, Mel, we attended all 3 days of the trial for the first one for the recusal and then the other 2 days for the motion for new trial. I do not feel like the verdict that was rendered in regards to the new trial was fair. You just had to be inside of that courtroom to understand the law. And even if you don't understand the law, the way that Russell presented that case, the way that he laid it out and he explained every law that was broken and gave reason as to why it was broken, he helped you in that moment understand why what happened to Karmelo was wrong and was not, just in the eyes of the law or in the judicial system. I don't feel like it was fair at all, Mel, but I feel like Russell is a stellar attorney. He knows what he's doing. Um, I've never really been in court before, but for that to be, one of the first impressions, I see how it is for an attorney to fight for you. And he's fighting for Karmelo. So, yeah, it wasn't fair, but I don't think it's the end of it either, Mel.
Right. Do you think this appeal will be successful?
I do think it will be successful, Mel, because Carmelo's rights were violated. The prosecutors, they gave reason as to why they had to restrict access to the public, right? They said, we had all these threats. This is a high profile case. We had threats coming in against the Anthonys. We had threats coming in against Karmelo. We had Jake Lang out here. We had to arrest him. We had threats coming in against the Metcalf family. And so just to make sure that everyone was safe, including Karmelo, we had to restrict access to people. But, in everything that they said, Mel, they never, to me, they never gave reason as to why they held so many meetings about this gentleman's agreement without Carmelo's consent. From my understanding, I think it was 12 or more meetings that they held, and he wasn't present in either one of them, Mel. So, you can give your reason out of, as to why you violated his rights to a public trial, acting out of good faith, trying to keep him safe. But the reason for why you guys construed this deal that benefited you more than it benefited him, you guys weren't able to give that reason. We still don't have that, Mel. So I do think the appeal will be successful because Russell is looking for answers. I'm sure the appellate court will want answers too.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Uh, I had explained before you came on that when I attended the trial, Bill Worski, he, in the opening arguments, he pretty much painted a picture that Carmelo was a man on a mission that day. He woke up looking to take somebody out, right? Did you get that sense from him during the hearings?
Did I get that sense from Carmelo?
From Bill Worski.
Yeah. So he definitely tried to lay it out that way, Mel. He tried to say that, he was spiraling. He was upset that morning. In fact, his girlfriend had reported, him stalking her. She said that she was worried that he would do something, crazy or something strange. He did try to paint a picture as if Carmelo was on a mission. He was looking for he was angry because his girlfriend broke up with him, and he was looking for anyone to take that anger out on by any means necessary. And he wanted to paint the picture like Austin was the by any means necessary, like Austin was the fall person for Carmelo's rage. But you know um I digress from listening to the defense or looking at the records that were put out and listening to how the case was presented previously. You know, it would have been nice if the young lady could have given her own testimony. If the prosecution is going to go and get secondhand information from an assistant principal or someone who the girlfriend allegedly reported the incident to, I think that you should at least give her the opportunity to explain why, if she did it, why she did it, and what she meant by it. But of course, because that gentleman's agreement was in place, then she could not testify to something that they're saying she did because she was considered a character witness. So
Right. Do you think that even with all that's being said so far, that the fact that he had these conversations or text messages with his girlfriend that were very damning, do you think that will hinder him even at the appellate or the appeal level?
Mel, I don't. And I'm going to say the reason I say I don't is because we never received context from Karmelo or his girlfriend in regards to what was going on in that moment when those text messages were sent back and forth. What was going on? Was it random? Were you guys engaged on the phone with each other? Some people believe that it could have been in regards to a game that they were playing. I know a lot of kids, my kids, they do it now when they're on the games and they're playing, they're on the phones with their friends at the same time. So, I feel like in a sense, Mel, it won't hurt him unless he really meant malicious intent by those messages that he sent her. But again, without his context, how can you, I, or anyone say what Karmelo meant? How can we say how the girlfriend perceived it without either of their testimonies? That's how I look at it.
Did they show during the hearings that he was communicating with his girl while playing the game?
No, in fact, Russell, he showed all of the text messages and things that he had, that they had on Carmelo. But one thing he didn't do was he didn't give reason to any of it. He did not try to defend Carmelo in any moment to say this is what he meant, this is what he was doing. And I think he did it on purpose, Mel, because it's not his job to say, well, this is what Carmelo meant. It's Carmelo's job to tell what Carmelo meant. It's Carmelo's job to tell what was going on in that moment. And again, because of that gentleman's agreement, we were not able to hear from Carmelo. So yeah, he showed those text messages and things, Mel, but he did not give reason or context as to what Carmelo may or may not have meant.
Before the actual hearing, a lot of people looked at Austin as being like an altar boy, really good at the game, all these great things. As far as Carmelo Anthony, do you see him as being an altar boy after going to the hearing?
I don't see Carmelo as being an altar boy. I'm not gonna, try and paint a picture that, oh, he's just this innocent, kid, this saint. I don't want to say that. I want to say that he's the average kid, Mel. He's the average teenager. The average teenager, he's engaging in what they do. By him being so small, I would say that, at first I got the impression that he was a little pushover, like he was someone that you could push around and shove around and he was a wimp or something, but he's not that. He's just the average kid. And I don't know if I want to say black or white because kids are kids, teenagers are teenagers. He's just the average teenager. Um, you can expect from him what you would expect from any other teenager. That's how I look at it.
So the subject matter about shooting up a school and licking blood, all of that is related to Roblox.
So I'm uncertain, Mel. There is some speculation that he could have been talking about Roblox or Call of Duty or something. I don't play it,
Oh,
but
okay.
I do know that I asked my kids because I was curious, about the different things. Not in Call of Duty, but in Roblox. I was like, hey, on this game, can you do this? Can you do that? Is there a school on there? Are you able to do this? And my kids kind of confirmed for me that those things are on the game. There is this one version where I came across this TikTok video and I saw parents on there, and it would come across as someone is picking on their kids the way that they open up the video. But when you watch them, they're actually talking about them engaging in a game, helping their kids, and saying that the other kids got out on them and they beat up the parent and the kids. So it drew your attention in to think, hey, what's going on? Is this latest kid being bullied? But when you sit and you listen to the video, they are actually describing the fun that they are having on the game. So I am aware that there is a different version, Mel, that gets quite explicit. So it could have been, but I can't say for certain because I don't play it. I know I've asked my kids, they've confirmed some of it for me, but Mel, I don't play it, so I don't know.
Okay. So we also have Grave Diggers in the chat, who I totally decimated, and I showed him that Carmelo arrived in the tent after the twins, and now he has to owe me an apology. But anyway, Grave Diggers says the average kid doesn't carry a knife or be obsessed with murder. What's your answer to that?
Yeah, you're right. And if you're referring to average kid, if you're trying to put Carmelo in that bubble, that you're saying that he's obsessed with murder or carry a knife, that's not Carmelo at all. I don't know what your average kid looks like, but here in Texas, because it's so common, the average kid can carry a knife and probably will carry a knife. And I'm gonna say this too, since I'm being real and we're putting it all on the floor. The average racist kid or a kid that's raised around racism, or they're embracing racism like their parents and like they're being taught, yeah, they can definitely be obsessed with murder or wanting to kill that motherfucker. In the famous words of the late Austin Metcalf, said, kill that motherfucker for just talking, freedom of speech. If you're saying that the average kid does not carry a knife around or is not obsessed with murder, then can you tell me what you consider Austin Metcalf, dead or alive? Was he the average kid? Is that what we can expect from the average white kid? Is that what you are teaching your kids? Because we don't teach ours that. We all know that they're exposed to different things when it comes to the internet, when it comes to games and different things. We can't say what they will or won't do, but I want you to define for me, since you are trying to place this type of character upon Carmelo, can you tell me, with everything that has come out about Austin, what type of kid he is? And I'll wait on your response for that.
Okay.
Speaking of that, Mel, I have a friend, and we're just 2 weeks into school. Already her daughter is at the school in Frisco, might I add. She's in Frisco at school. She come home crying and said, Mama, please get me out of there. She said, baby, what's wrong? Mama, they using the N word in there. They calling us the N word. She said it's only about a handful of black people in the school, but it's majority white. And the baby has already come home crying to her mom, saying, Mom, I don't want to be at that school, Mom. Please get me out of that school. They're walking around calling us niggas, Mama. Just get us out of there. And it's not like she has a choice, because in Texas, depending on the area that you stay in, your kids have to go to this school depending on your area and your address. So I told her, I said, get her out of there. She said, but I don't know where I'm gonna put her. I don't know where I can put her, because it's not like I have a choice. But yeah, already we're just 2 weeks into school. Her baby's experiencing that already. The white kids are there calling them the N word.
Oh, Lord, have mercy. We have a comment from Mr. Vino, says, truth be told, the Metcalf twins were gangsters, though.
Yeah, that's true. Be told, the Metcalf twins were despicable, and their dad is despicable. Their mom should be ashamed. Mel. I know that these kids sometimes it's crazy. As a mom, I can speak, and I'm pretty sure other parents can agree. Even when the fathers are not in the children's lives, the children, they'll still grow up and they will possess qualities of that other being. You can notice things in them. But Austin and Hunter, they had to get this type of behavior from somewhere and somebody. And I don't know if Megan's eggs are just contaminated and rotten, and Jeff's sperm is just rotten and contaminated, and but they concocted up a mess. When I tell you those boys were awful, I mean, some things came out about Carmelo too, don't get me wrong, but Carmelo, showed the behavior, just talking shit. If I'm being honest, Mel, these boys did shit. That's the difference. Carmelo talked. These boys did the fucking walk, okay? And they weren't afraid to do it. They were not afraid to do it. They started out early. So we're gonna be honest and we're gonna be real. Let's be real. Let's be honest. Let's be clear. Stop pretending like you're fucking blind to what Austin was and what Hunter is and what their mammy and their daddy is, okay? I don't care how much you feel like murder is wrong. Sometimes we bring things on ourselves, okay? And that's what I got to say about that.
Gravedigger says, okay, I don't need to define. Carmelo could have gotten on the stand and defined it, but he was scared because he knew he was malicious.
You know what I have to say about that? Carmelo he did not take the stand because he was scared. Carmelo told his attorneys, I don't trust Worski. He said, Bill runs the courtroom. And I can attest to that. From what I saw in the trial, Bill definitely has his way in the courtroom. No matter if you're a sitting judge or retired judge, Bill does exactly what he wants to do. Karmelo wanted to take the stand. It was the plan for him to take the stand. But once someone double crosses you and you don't know what they'll do, or you don't know how they will get up there and try to drag you or diminish your character, right? Because your defense is, well, your lawyer's time to, stand in your defense has already evaporated. It's gone. They passed that up because they were trying to do this gentleman's deal, which is why he did not take the stand, because the gentleman's deal is broken. And if you want my intake on that, I feel like gentlemen's agreements should be unethical, against the law, and they should be reasons for attorneys to be barred. There is no way an attorney that is taking someone's money and taking an oath to defend them or stand in their corner to represent them, male, should be making a deal with the, I don't want to call them an enemy because they're not your enemy, right? But this is the opposite. There's no way you can have my best interest at heart if you're making a deal with the op that it clearly will benefit them more than it benefits me. We're not talking about a plea deal here, okay? We're not talking about that.
All right. So for the sake of the show, I'm going to be pushing back on you tonight for entertainment purposes, right? Toby Shook, according to what you guys heard in court, I believe you relayed to me, he received a call from the prosecution. Now I'm pushing back on your, you shouldn't have a gentleman's deal. Prosecution says, listen, we have this on Karmelo. He, he's telling the girl, he's threatening her and all this. He wants to lick blood off a knife, all of this. So then Toby Shook says, yeah, we want to take that gentleman's deal so it doesn't come out in court. So what would be your understanding of that?
So, Mel, from my understanding, when I was sitting in court, Shook said that they told him that they found some, it wasn't anything in regards to, if it was anything in regards to the knife, Mel, he didn't say that. What he said was stalking, something in regards to the stalking had come out. And this is why he wanted to offer a gentleman's agreement to keep the character evidence from being introduced into the trial. Well, Howard, right? Because they had trouble getting into Karmelo's phone. They had to hire a new expert that couldn't get into the phone. But what Howard did was he went and he spoke to the assistant principals and things, and he got in front of it. So he believed that he actually had a handle on the mail. He's like, we good. I have control of this. I have an understanding of it. And you even hear Worski on the stand say they had their, opinion, their version of it. We had our version of it. They had their thoughts of what happened. We had ours. He said that he talked to Karmelo's girlfriend. She didn't talk to him long. But he talked to her, and then it actually comes out that she actually told him she didn't want to talk about violence. She didn't want to talk about drugs. She didn't want to talk about anything. I think it wasn't even a 5-minute conversation when that girl spoke with Worski. But from my understanding, the second mention of the gentleman's agreement came out when the Metcalf, when their history came about. So this is when it was discussed for a second time, I think.
Right. Someone earlier had mentioned that the Metcalfs had not stabbed anyone. How would you answer that?
They would have, if they had been given the opportunity, they would have stabbed someone. And even though they didn't stab anyone, they choked their own mom out. I don't think Karmelo did that to his mom. And underneath that tent, we don't know what they would have done. I know they wanted to kill. They always wanted to kill. They always wanted to beat that motherfucker, kill that motherfucker. They always wanted to put hands on somebody. And Mel, when you are in a rage like that, when you get enraged, sometimes you just can't stop. People have to stop you. So even though they didn't stab anybody, we don't know what if they would have, if they, would or wouldn't have. I know that they were violent. I know that they were racist, and I know that they put hands on people, including their own mom.
Wow. What about the dad? Didn't they rough him up too?
Yep. Austin said he's gonna slap the shit out of his dad, and he wasn't gonna do shit about it. Jeff, you ain't gonna do shit when he slapped the shit out of you. That's what he said. And it was some, I don't know if it's true or not, but Jeff was walking around with his arm, his shoulder messed up for a while, and he said something. He tried to blow it off, but we know what happened to you. We know what happened to you, buddy. We know Austin, You ain't do shit about it. That's what we know.
All right, very
They
good.
also
Great.
took a gun to school. Carmelo didn't take a gun to school, but they actually were suspended for
Oh
taking a
yeah,
gun to school.
What?
Austin was having a conversation with one of his friends. They asked him what his gun sound like. He said, "Oh, you'll hear it tomorrow when I bring it." So, I hear people saying that Carmelo said something about bringing a gun to school. Well, Austin, I wrote it down in my notes. Mel Austin, was talking about. I think they were suspended. Let me see. I don't want to miss. I don't want to
They
miss
got suspended. It's in there.
Yeah, for bringing a gun to school. So, talking about he didn't stab nobody, and stabbings is not the only way that you can seriously injure people. Those boys, as big and as aggressive as they are, they were the weapon. They didn't need a knife. They didn't need a gun. All they needed was each other or one of them. Hell, ask Jeff. He can tell you. And Megan.
Why do you think at I think it was 10 years of age, they were attacking girls? Is that true?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it is. There is some rumor mill. I don't know how true it is, but the reason that Megan split from Jeff is because he used to beat her ass. I don't know how true it is, but I know some behaviors are learned behaviors. So maybe the respect that wasn't there in their household, they get it from their dad, and that's why they didn't have to. That's why they didn't have any to offer any to anyone else, not even the teachers. Looking at the teachers telling her, "Shut the fuck up." And fuck off. Looking in the teacher's eyes, this is an administrator. This is someone who is over you when your mom is not here, when your dad's not here. These are the people that we send you to school with, for the betterment of your education, for you to learn, and you don't even have respect for them. Looking them in their eyes, bristling up at the teachers, you fat bitch, both of them, Austin and I don't understand how much can one kid do? How much can one kid be allowed to do before they're even expelled from the school? How much are they allowed to do? Seriously, these kids had a record. They had a pattern. You want to talk about patterns? In court, Russell compared Austin to Jake Lang. Everybody knows how despicable Jake. In fact, this motherfucker, he just got arrested again up there and got duped up by Spider-Man. Everybody knows how bad Jake Lang is, and it was this extensive. Austin and Hunter's background and their behaviors was this extensive enough for a stellar attorney to compare these boys to Jake Lang. Now you let that marinate.
Wow. So this was more like a sucker punch with the girls.
Yeah. He threw one girl down. She had bruising on the inside of her shoulder or something, and her mom said that was the last. I think they were in the gym. There was some type of flag game or something. She accidentally touched his face, swiped his face, and he lost it on that girl. And he hurt that poor little girl. And her mom said that was the last straw. She said because that wasn't the first time that she had reported that her child was being picked on and tortured and tormented by these boys. She had reported this before, and this time she said that's it. I think that's the one that they actually got arrested for doing that to that little girl. But yeah, Hunter said his hands were bisexual, and it didn't stop. When he tell the cheerleader, "You fat bitch," why do they call everybody a fat bitch? I wonder, did Jeff call Megan a fat bitch? Did he call Megan a fat bitch a lot? Like, why? What's wrong with you? Why y'all calling people fat bitches? At the blink of an eye. You a fat bitch, that's a fat bitch, he a fat bitch, she a fat bitch. Even if you ain't a fat bitch, you a fat bitch. Everybody was a fat bitch to
So
them.
this is what the Metcalf twins were saying.
Yeah, everybody's a fat bitch. They called the teachers fat bitches. They called the cheerleaders. Hunter called the cheerleaders fat bitches. Said his hands were bisexual. They called. I know that there is some record of them calling their mom that. It didn't come out, Mel, but they didn't have any respect for anybody. Nobody could restrain these boys. Nobody could get sense into them.
And you know something, Mel?
Unhinged.
We were able to sit behind the grandmother and the grandfather, and when things came out in court, like certain things, they would smile. It would just light them up. I'm like, this is where they get it from.
Mhm.
It starts here.
Yeah.
It starts with you. When certain things came out and certain things were said, they just lit them up. They just smile, just turn around and just smile and just looking at the Anthony's like for torment. Like, you think that's funny that these boys behave that way? You think that's funny? That's not funny.
And another thing I want to point out about them, Mel, where people think it applies to you and only you, but it does not apply to us. many of you guys may be familiar with the public opinion court. Her name is Thelma Anderson. So she was in court, and the granddad, he kind of like made this scene on our side. He was calling for one of the people in the court, talking about, he was doing this like Thelma was talking, and the bailiff came and he escorted her out, Mel, right? And so she came back in moments later. I don't know what they discussed outside or what they determined, but she came back in and she got her seat that she was sitting down at. But right after that, I noticed Megan's husband, I think, is sitting up there beside her. He's talking to her. In fact, the puny grandmother, I think that was the grandmother. She looks like she's about 50 pounds, soaking wet. She goes to talk to the granddad. So
Hold on. I sat beside her in court for the trial.
yeah. She goes to talk to the granddad. So why is it okay for you guys to speak or talk if it's not okay for anyone else to speak or talk? If you're gonna call and say, hey, we have some talking back here, tell on your partner here too, if that's your partner. Tell on your Megan up there and her husband. Tell on them up there talking. Tell on Jeff and this man that keeps on beating him in the back like he's so hurt, like he just so distraught, patting him in the back so hard you could hear it. I mean, dook dook dook. Why you hit that man in the back like that? Like he just, he's just so down. Oh, he's so hurt. He can't take this. He's having to relive this again. Poor Jeff. Oh my goodness, poor Jeff. And he's just in there, just patting him in the back. Just
Right. Phil says, was it okay to kill Austin?
it was okay to kill Austin. Austin if Austin did something to get himself killed. What they say, self-defense. Okay. Sometimes people don't intend to kill people. I don't think that Karmelo intended to kill that young man. I think that Karmelo intended to protect himself. And it's okay to protect yourself, even if it results in you killing someone. So if that's the answer that I think that's the answer that you're looking for. Okay. Also, Mel, Karmelo had a history of getting jumped too. Yeah. He had a history of getting jumped, and he said, you never know pain until you're in that situation. But he had a history of getting jumped. Yeah. So, in that moment, I think it's safe to say that Karmelo was afraid that he's about to get jumped and take a beating. All of the opponents, like the other team, were around him. So, yeah. Let me find it.
Thomas says Karmelo intended it. Do you think that's true?
I don't think he intended to kill him, ma'am. I don't. Karmelo even said in the video, he says he's gonna be okay. Oh, he's not gonna die. He's gonna be okay. No. When people are stabbing people and when they are enraged, Mel, they don't do it from just a single, when people are enraged, they're like, they're not gonna stop, Mel. When someone is enraged and they intend to take you out of here, they are going to make sure that you are up out of here. Some people, the blood and stuff can be splattering all over them. They still won't stop. Even when you're fist fighting someone, you can, beat them, Mel, until they're bloody and you still don't stop. That's enraged. That is where I'm at the point where I cannot stop and I don't care, what the final is here. I don't think that Karmelo intended to. He never even stood up. He never even tried to, defend himself in a way to inflict murder on someone. I think he was just trying to defend himself and get out of that situation because he was surrounded and he was outnumbered by Austin and Hunter themselves alone. These two, this is like, two pit bulls on a chihuahua. We know chihuahuas are feisty, right? Everybody say they they feisty, they stand up for themselves, but they are not a match for a pit bull, Mel. Okay? So this is what we're talking about. Two pit bulls and a chihuahua.
Okay. Kat says, then he should have testified in that court.
Well, he wanted to testify in the court. Would you trust someone who fucked you over, Kat? Would you? He wanted to testify. Dworsky and Mitchell made sure that he would not feel comfortable testifying. They intended to screw that young man over. Okay. So I believe, and listening to Howard and Shook, it was the plan for their client to testify and tell. It was in the act, or in the, what I want to say, plan for their client to testify on what happened under the tent. But When someone has already fucked you 1, 2, 3 times, do you give them a fourth time to fuck you? Is that what you do? I'm pretty sure y'all wanted to hear from Karmelo. We did too. But Mel, the best thing, I feel like the best thing he could have done was not testify. I feel like that's the best thing that he could have done that saved him. And it gives him an opportunity to be able to explain, later for the appeal what happened. His attorneys have already explained why he didn't feel comfortable testifying, because clearly a deal was broken. You're going to get up here and you're going to tarnish me, you're going to drag me through and make me like I'm this wicked kid of the wild wild west, and your client, my counsel, have said nothing negative towards your client. My lawyers have not opened up character on these boys, which is very important. You need to understand what I was dealing with, who I was dealing with in that moment. But because that opportunity has now passed, Mel, what do we do?
Okay. Midnight says this is a good time to mention keep your hands to yourself.
It is. It's a good time to mention. Tell your chaps, teach your chaps, keep their hands to themselves. If everybody keeps their hands to themselves, we have no worries, right? We have no worries. I'm just like y'all say, people can talk. People can talk all day. Just don't touch anybody. That's all Karmelo did. Like, they have these text messages where he just talk. They have no actual facts of where Karmelo put his hands on someone or where he actually made a move. But all down the Metcalf's history, they actually put their hands on people. They actually did the thing. They actually put their hands on their mom. They put their hands on their dad. They put their hands on other people. So you have one thing where you have a person talking, but you have another thing where you have these people actually carrying out their acts. So yeah, they had a history of not knowing how to keep their hands to themselves, not even when it came to their own parents.
Okay. Gravedigger says, why would you stand your ground if you're in fear of your life? It's not his tent.
It wasn't theirs either. They weren't even supposed to be there. I don't know why they gave these privileged, why they kept giving them opportunities to keep being deceitful and keep showing why you shouldn't trust them. But they weren't supposed to be there. And if you ask me, they weren't too big on the team, because the reason they weren't supposed to be there is because they were suspended from the team because they left their team to go do whatever they went to go do. So they weren't it wasn't their tent. I don't know whose property it was, but it wasn't Austin and Hunter's tent. Okay. Those bleachers were not their bleachers. That's school property or whoever it is. But regardless, they shouldn't have put their hands on them. They should have kept their hand. Listen, all of that aside, tell your kids to keep their hands to themselves. If you don't want your child to come home with a red handprint across their face right here, and you have to say, "Oh my God, son, what happened?" Tell your kids to keep their hands to themselves, okay? Tell your kids to keep their hands to themselves, okay? That's the biggest lesson that we should take out of this all. None of this would have ever happened if they had not put their hands on that young man and put him in a position where he felt like he was in danger. Teach your kids to keep their hands to themselves.
All right. Murray says, stand your ground means you have the right to defend yourself against perceived danger.
Right. They said all you have to have is the fear up here, Mel. The fear to feel like your life is in danger and you can stand your ground. But I really feel like, it's a kind of twisted law, because the way that they explained it, like these people that's talking shit now, like Gravedigger, they can come up to you and they can push you, Mel, or slap you. And then when you give them that quick 8-piece, now you in the wrong because you hit him 8 times and all he did was push you, or all he did was slap you. I don't care what you did. You shouldn't have put your hands on me. You shouldn't have put. And now listen, he comes up to you, right? He pushes you and he slaps you. You give him an 8-piece, and because you hit him 8 times, the 6th time he feel like, oh, he's not gonna stop. Now he gets the right to shoot you because I felt like he was gonna kill me. Oh, I did start it, but he wouldn't stop hitting me. It's fucked up, Mel. That's what it is. Because people need to stop starting shit. That's what they need to stop doing. They need to mind their business. Stop starting shit. Stop teaching their little spoiled little brats to start shit. And everybody keep their hands to themselves. We will all be okay.
What do you think about Jeff Metcalf? He's teaching emotional intelligence. What do you think about that? Getting up, running away, walking away, or just saying, "Listen, I'm above this."
Jeff does not have emotional intelligence to teach. He does not have it, and I don't know where the fuck he's getting it from, but a novel is damn sure not gonna give it to you, okay? Jeff doesn't have it. He went on a whole racist rant, talking about saying all type of despicable things about black people and Carmelo, and now you're trying to teach somebody conflict resolution. It should have started in your own damn home, and it should have started a long time ago, way before the boys got 10. I can tell you that. You should have started teaching that a long time ago, Jeff Metcalf. If you wanted to make an impression, that's what you should have done. But there was obviously some conflict in your own household. Hence the reason you and Megan are not together. And then the kids just absorbed all this damage, and now they are just two freaking grenades. That's what they were. Two fucking grenades, Mel. He doesn't have, emotional intelligence to teach. Not somebody who goes on there and loses their shit, and then you say you offering scholarships and stuff to people. How do you think little black kids or black parents are gonna feel about their kids intercepting something like that? Mel, it doesn't fly with me. Some people might buy into it, but I can see past bullshit, okay? It's bullshit. Jeff doesn't have that.
Do you blame the parents on each side? Let's take it one by one. Do you blame Carmelo's parents for his text messages and what happened?
Well, Mel, what I want to say to that is we don't always know what our children are doing, right? If Kayla and Drew had gotten numerous reports of Carmelo's behavior and they didn't try to correct it, Mel, then yes, I could say, well, yeah, there's some blame to that. You saw that there was an issue and you didn't correct it. The kids in their phone, a lot of us parents, we don't go in their phones a lot of times when we should, Mel, because you never know what they're doing. But if he did not display that type of behavior to them or to others, like to his teachers or people who could say that this was his character, then I can't say that, Drew and Kayla were aware of anything that was going on inside of his phone that represented that type of behavior. So, when to that, I want to say we as parents, when we notice that there is an issue with the children, especially with their behavior, you fail if you don't try to correct it, Mel. You do fail if you don't try to correct it. But again, I don't think Carmelo's disciplinary history in school or when he was a kid, but of course, like when you're little, when you're small, you can expect your little kid to throw tantrums or fall out and things when they can't get their way. But when he's older, if there is no there's no, if it's not clear and apparent that this child has an issue or that he's behaving a certain type of way, then the only way you would know that your child is engaging in certain type of behavior or activities if you go through their phone, right? Whoever talk to people they feel the most comfortable with. And I feel like Drew and Kayla didn't do that.
What about
Maybe
the
he didn't.
Metcalf,
The Metcalf boys, male, that's different.
their
Okay.
parents, their parents?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's different. I do blame Jeff and Megan, and some people might say, "Well, that's odd. You're only taking up for them, because you support Carmelo." No, there is a clear difference. These boys, their behavior started when they were young. This is not something that people are saying. Hey, this is not hearsay. These are records. Okay, these boys have a clear. Hunter was suspended from school for 7 years in a row. Okay? From 2015 all the way up into 2022. Mel, I do blame them because they ignored it. Okay? These boys didn't just start with these behavior problems, and it's documented. You have records of these teachers reporting this type of thing. What are you doing to correct their behavior? Not only do I blame Megan and Jeff, I blame the fucking school. Whoever was responsible for having those kids there, allowing them to still return and keep coming back with that same stuff, Mel, I blame them. Because it's your job to make sure that the other parents, students, and their kids are safe. They have a safe place when they come, Mel. But you keep allowing these other kids the opportunity to come here and just bully people and taunt people and pick on people, throw water bottles at people and jump on people when they feel like it, and they can get suspended from school and come back with the same old bullshit, and their parents are ignoring it too, Mel. I blame a whole lot of people when it comes to them. Now back to Carmelo. I did not see a disciplinary record. If I saw a disciplinary record when he's older, Mel, that shows that this child is struggling, he has some issues, you need to get him help. In fact, I think, when kids do things like that, their parents, one of the things they take and do is they, get them diagnosed as hyperactive, ADHD. They like to go get them diagnosed and get them on some medication so that they can learn to control. Well, I don't want to say control their behavior, but so it calms them down. And if I'm not mistaken, both Austin and Hunter were, on that medication. And if it wasn't working, then Jeff and Megan should have definitely, took them to get their medication changed or get their dosage upped. They, when it comes to insurances and things, some medications they don't cover, some they do, but for the ones that are not covered, they want you to try different ones until you find what works. And so they definitely could have did something. If the medication wasn't working, I don't know.
From what I understand, they said that Carmelo's family moved from Louisiana to Texas because he had some issues behavior. What do you think about that?
I have not looked into that mail. I do know that Worski and Mitchell, they did present his um school records from, I think, when he was younger, like I just said. I don't know what type of behavior issues he had in Louisiana, but I can tell you this, Mel. I can tell you this. When you are black and you live in a predominantly black area, we do recognize that there are certain types of behaviors and things that are happening in those areas, Mel, if I'm being honest, okay? And when you don't want your children to be exposed to that, or you don't want them to turn out to be the, replica of what you are growing up around, because let's be real, males, other races are more fortunate than black people. We have to take the hand that we're dealt. If this is the area that you have to live in to be comfortable, male, you have to deal with it. You have to try and raise your kids the best that you can in the area that you're in. But you also realize that you are failing them as a parent if you choose to leave them in that environment. The only thing that they are exposed to is what's there and what's happening. And so I want to say kudos to Kayla and Drew for even moving him away from that, Mel, taking him away from that so that he can be introduced to a different environment and turn out to be, an outstanding young man. I want to say kudos to them. I did the same thing. I'm pretty sure I know other parents that have too, and again, with
Do you still think he's an outstanding young man?
I do, Mel. I really do. I do still think that he's an outstanding young man. I did see the things that came out in court about him, but again, I have not heard him speak. I have not heard him give context to what he meant, Mel, what was going on in the moment of time. From what I can see, what was introduced in court, I do still think that he is an outstanding young man. Again, I'm going to say he is the average kid to me. He's the average kid. Stellar in school, a stellar athlete. I don't think he was that troublesome. Mel. I don't think he is this monster that they are trying to paint him out to be. I don't think that at all. I think that he is just the average kid that we deal with.
Do you think he had a knife on him because he was spiraling out of control, or you think he just didn't realize he had it?
No, I think that he had it on him, Mel, because it was common. I do know that something came out about him wanting to go to the state fair, and he asked. I think he was texting his friend asking, "Hey, do you know if they have metal detectors or not?" And I don't know if they can confirm. They could confirm it, but Carmelo was like, "Okay, I'm just gonna have to toss it." So he even wanted to get rid of, a knife because he didn't know if they had metal detectors or not. But I think it was just common for him to keep it on him and common for people to keep it on them, period, Mel. In fact, when we were up here at the courthouse just a few days ago, you have these men standing over here. One of them got a pocket knife on his side on the court grounds, and the other one had a shovel. And we also heard him, load one into his chamber, click his gun and load one into his chamber on court grounds when we were standing up there. So in Texas is just common. In Texas, other people, other places, they may not do that. Just like in the South in certain areas, it's common for the young kids to walk around with guns and things on them, Male. You can expect that, but I think it's just common for, them to have that stuff on them up here. I don't know, what he surrounded himself with, how his friends were. I don't know about that, but I know that up here it's common for them to have those things on them.
Okay. Let me ask your sister, what does she think in regards to Carmelo Anthony? Does she see him as still being a good little boy?
Well, I'm not gonna say like a good little boy to try to paint him like he's just some choir boy, because he's not. Carmelo is not some choir boy, but he's just your average kid, like she said. Like Carmelo was, I didn't pick up a troublemaking kid from him. Carmelo was, from what we saw, he's a kid who's gonna mind his business. I'm not gonna bother you. Don't bother me. It's the average. I'm gonna say the average black kid. Like, don't bother me. I'm not gonna bother you. You could talk as long as you don't put your hands on me. We cool. Carmelo wasn't a shit starter. He wasn't walking around just stirring up shit mail. But he was just an average black kid. I think it came out in the first trial where he was just goofing off and making silly videos and faces with his friends when he get around his friends. Not walking around recording himself tormenting people and recording it and finding amusement in people's agony and their pain. That wasn't Carmelo. So no, I'm not gonna say like he's just a choir boy, like he's just some innocent kid, because he's not that. He's just an average kid, Mel. He's gonna be around his friends, gonna play his game, he's gonna talk his shit. You know what I'm saying? He's an average kid that will stay in his lane and will not bother you if you don't bother him.
What about the Metcalf twins? You think they were good little boys?
Hell no. Hell no. They were not good little boys. You didn't have to do anything to them. Just cause you black, just cause you talking crap behind their bench, whatever talking crap means, or talking crazy or talking wild. You didn't have to do anything to them. Those buildings weren't doing anything to them. Buildings don't bother anybody. They don't go over there and paint what they think the building should say. Oh, hey, building, let me tell you this. I think that you should not like black people like us. Hail Hitler and kill all blacks, building. We're gonna paint on these bricks so everybody gets the message that all blacks need to be killed.
Wow. Okay. So let me ask you this. When you listen to the, let's say, Bill Worski and whoever spoke, do you think that they had negative feelings toward Carmelo Anthony?
I do. I
Yeah.
do, Mel. I do think that they had negative feelings towards that young man. Instead of, viewing him as a teenager, the average teenager, they tried to paint him like this monster. I think they even called him, something that I found interesting was the attorney that was on yesterday, Jack, when he was talking about the threats that Iran has made on Trump's son. I think the young man is 22, but he said he's old enough to, still consider that guy a child. He says he's a kid. And that was interesting to me because Carmelo was what, 18,
17, 18.
at the time. He was a kid. He's still a
17.
kid. Yeah, 17 at the time. He's a kid now. He's 19. He's a kid, Mel. If we can say that one is a kid, the other one is a kid. And instead of, putting yourself in or trying to understand and accepting reality for what it is, they try to paint a picture or try to paint a monster, of this kid.
What they really did was hide the history, hide the troublesome history of the Metcalfs, to paint them like they were some angel, some innocent boys who didn't mean anybody any harm and just got off, just got killed for no reason. That's wrong, Mel. That is so wrong. That is wrong.
Right.
Right. That's just a mess. I want to take a moment now and just show everybody the altercation. We have some people wanting to see the altercation, so I'm going to play it for you. I actually attended the original trial, and during the trial, it came out in the opening arguments that the whole altercation was only 5 seconds. So we're going to take about 5 seconds to go through this. Actually, we're going to unpack it pretty good here. So just give me 1 second to pull it up for you guys. For those of you who haven't seen it, if you guys want to chime in, feel free to do so. But we're going to unpack this whole battle here. Okay, so can you guys see my cursor? You can see it okay, right? You guys can see it?
Cross.
Okay. All right. So here we have it. This is the tent. As you can see, it's blurry because think about it. They're filming this from way across the stadium. So the more you try to zoom in, it becomes pixelated. But I just want to show the people who haven't seen this. Under the tent, this is Austin here. Okay. In the video that I've shown extensively. You could actually go look it up, but I put it out already. Karmelo is sitting behind Hunter. So in this whole blob, you have Hunter in the front and you have Karmelo. This is actually Carmelo's head represented right back here. All right. So you're going to see, as we saw in court, Austin's going to go over and push him. His head is going to go over here. Okay. There's no person standing over him. This could be a person. We haven't fully identified that in court. It didn't come up. So here you see Austin go over and he's going to push Karmelo. You see that? Can you guys see that Carmelo's head goes this way? Okay. And then at this point, he gets stabbed, right? You can see this could be his right arm. Hopefully you guys are with me, right? Watch, he starts falling back. You see the gap. So if a person is stabbed, he falls back like this here. This is what Austin is doing. All right. So you guys should be able to make this out. This is Austin's body. His arms are right here. This is his torso, his legs. He's falling back. Okay. As we go forward, you're going to see him falling back. Okay. So now, remember I showed you that Karmelo and Hunter were here. You're going to see Karmelo run out to the back of the tent. And you're going to see Hunter standing by himself. Okay. So now you're going to see Hunter standing by himself. Watch this. Now you see Hunter here. Now you're going to see Karmelo. It happens all in seconds, but now you see Carmelo's head and he has a hood on. Can you guys see that over the tent? Put a 1 in the chat if you can see Carmelo's head right here with the gray hoodie on his head. Can you see that? Put a 1. I need to know you guys are with me or else we're just wasting time. Let's see what you guys have to say. Can you see it? Okay. Thank you, Sophies. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. So some of you are putting ones in the chat. Thank you very much. Okay. So this is Karmelo, right? Now you see Hunter standing here by himself. Let me show you his movement. You see Hunter? See, at first they were one big blob. Now you can see Hunter standing. You could actually see he has shorts on. Right here in the cursor, this is where his shorts stop. He has on black clothes. You can see his leg. You can see the bend in his knee right here. Can you guys see that? You can see he's on his knees, turned around on the bleacher. Look at it. Look at the way it's bent here. Look at this. You see his legs. Now you're going to see, I want you to pay attention to Hunter. He's going to pick up this left leg and you're going to be able to see that. He's going to climb out of the back of the tent. This is his arm. This is his leg. His knee is bent on the bench. Okay, watch how this goes. Watch he pick up his leg. You see he picks up his leg? Look at there. He picks up his leg right there. Now you see his left. This is his rear end. This is his left leg. This is his right. And he starts to run out of the tent behind Karmelo. See, now you see his leg on the bench. Can you guys see that? Is anybody with me? I need to know if people are here. Put a 1 in the chat if you're with me so far. It's blurred, but you can make out what's actually happening here. Put a 1 in the chat if you're with me. Put a 2 if you're not. It's okay. I need to understand who's here, who understands what they're seeing, and so forth. Put a 1 in the chat. Okay, so here's the key part, right? Okay, I see a lot of ones. Now, let me show you something. So you see his right leg here, right? Now, let me show you that Hunter was actually hitting Karmelo, too. Watch this right here. See, here's Karmelo. I'm going to bring him back. I'm reversing this back to Hunter. Okay? And I want you to see Hunter takes a swing at Karmelo. Watch this. Watch this. You see that swing? Look at there. I want you to notice this swing as Karmelo is running away. This is happening in 5 seconds. I know I'm slowing it up. Oh, Lord. I did too much. Okay, here we go. All right, so listen, right here. You see that swing? Look at that swing. That's his left arm. Can you guys see me? Let's see. That's his left arm going just like this. You see that? I'm going to take it back. Notice his left arm, and you're going to see Karmelo. This is swinging in Carmelo's direction, but Karmelo runs out the back of the tent. All right, watch this. Hunter swings right here. Look at that swing. You see that swing? Look, that perfect swing. All right. If you see the swing, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1. Here's the left arm. Here's the right arm. I want you to notice. Look at the swing. You see that swing? There's his head. This is his body. Okay. All right. So I see 1s in the chat. You see that? So in court, right? I want you guys to understand this. This is very important. In court, they said that Hunter was sitting on the bleacher, just minding his business, just like this here. Amazing. Anyway, he was. I'm just. Anyway, he was sitting on the bench, just minding his business, eating his curds away. Right, not involved in anything. He's on his knees. I'm going to show you now. When Austin comes over, he's on his knees. I wish I could turn around in my chair. He's on his knees facing Karmelo, but I'm going to show you that he's on top of Karmelo. Watch this. Watch this, man. I really do this. Watch this. So this is the swing. Pay attention to the swing, right? Now I'm going to reverse this. Notice this boy's body. Notice his body. Where is his body at before he swings? There's the swing. Look at his body leaning in. You see that boy hit? You see right here? That's his body already on Karmelo when Austin is stabbed. Can you guys see it? Okay. You see right here? He's leaning. Check this out. I'm going to go back to he raises up. This is the back. This is the arch back. He's going to raise up and swing. Watch this. Boom. You see that? Oh, Lord, I don't have the video up. Lord have mercy. That's what you mean you don't see. Sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't put it back. I'm like, what is Sophie's world not seeing? Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't put the video up. Okay, so check this out, guys. We're going to start at that swing, okay? Okay, we swap. There's the swing right there. You guys can see the swing. Now I'm going to reverse it back. I want you to notice what this body is doing before the swing. You see how that body's leaning in? Look at there. You see the body's leaning in? That's before the swing. See his head? This is the head. This is the shoulder down on Karmelo. I'm going to go forward. He's going to pull back on his knees and swing at Karmelo. Watch this. And look, when he gets off of Karmelo, Karmelo can run. You see, look, he's on Karmelo right here. This is Austin. We're gonna go back and look at Austin and where Hunter is when Austin goes and gets stabbed. But you have to pay attention to what I'm showing you. In court, I learned where everybody was sitting, so that's why this is very important, right? So look, check this out. He's leaning forward. He's gonna pull back on his knees, and he's gonna swing. You see that swing? So when I reverse it back, we're going back in reverse to see what he was doing before he swung. Look, he's leaning in on Karmelo. You see his hit? You can see him. He's leaning, he's bearing down on Karmelo, right? This is Austin. You see him, he's stabbed. This is the second probably where he's stabbed because you see a little gap right here. All right. So now I'm going to show you. Let's leave Hunter. Let's go back to Austin. Let's go back to Austin where he's going to approach Karmelo. Karmelo head is here. Hunter sitting is in front of him or on him or whatever. Okay. But check this out. There's Austin pushing his head, right? Pushing him or whatever he's doing. You can see an arm here. Okay. But notice what this body is doing. At the moment, this is the moment where Austin is approaching him, right? Look at this body. This body is already leaned down on Karmelo when he's stabbed. You see this? He's stabbed. This body is leaning. Watch this body lean back on his knees and swing at Karmelo. As he swings at Karmelo runs up. You see this? Can you guys see it? Look at this. I want people to fully understand. This is why I say in court, see, here's my argument, right? And I'm gonna try to make sure I put this back, and then I'm gonna bring the twins back up. This is what I want you guys to understand. In court, we had a video expert. He was the first witness in the case of Carmelo Anthony. They asked him, they says, listen, you highlighted around Carmelo when he was running. Why didn't you highlight under the tent? And you know what the video expert says? He says, because the prosecution didn't ask me to. So why wouldn't the prosecution want them to highlight what was under the tent? You know why? because just like the gentleman's agreement, you would have to shed light on Hunter and what he's doing. And that's why I'm telling you the gentleman's agreement had nothing to do with Karmelo, had nothing to do with Austin. It was all to protect Hunter. Because with the gentleman's agreement, you can't bring up Hunter's bad deeds. So you're not going to find out that Hunter was on Karmelo's ass too. Yeah, right here. I'm showing you right here. I mean, what more do you need to see? Okay. And if you don't highlight what's under the tent, you won't see that two guys were on Karmelo. Let's go back to it for those that are having a hard day. I want to get through this one more time. Here's Austin, right? This is Austin's body. This is his head. This represents Karmelo's head. What you could already see the arching there. My argument is that a boy is already on Karmelo. Watch this. I'm not even sure that Austin didn't go to break them up and got stabbed. I don't think it was intended for Austin, honestly. But anyway, that's just my opinion. It means nothing. But watch this. Austin, these two are already involved. That's why in court last week, right? Mike Howard said Hunter approached first and then Austin. Okay? You got to follow what this that was said in court by the attorney, right? So check this out. Watch this. You see Austin, he goes over, he pushes. Look, this kid is already there. These two are already on each other. Is my argument. Watch this. Now he gets stabbed, right? But notice you're gonna see this kid that was already on Karmelo. Watch him back up and swing at Karmelo. Actually, right here, you could almost see his shoulder blade. You see this gap right here? I would argue that this is the second kid's shoulder blade, and you see this kid getting stabbed, right? Watch this. Watch he pull back off, and he's gonna swing. Watch this swing. You see that? That's not a kid sitting on his butt on the bench. That's not a kid sitting on the bench. I can't do all that in 5 seconds if I'm sitting here just like this, here, like zippity doo dah, minding my business. That's not how it works. We have it right here. Now check this out. Karmelo runs up. You see his head here. When I back up, this second kid, Austin's over here. He's in the mix coming from the left. This kid here, look, he swings. You see that swing? When we were in court, right? The oh Lord, I'm not showing it again. Isn't this? I have to leave it. I keep forgetting. All right, so let me go back. You see the swing right here? He's swinging. All right, right here. You could just see it. It's so perfect. But some people try to say, "Well, I can't see anything." I want to show it till you can kind of get an idea what's happening here. You see that? You can see this second kid, Karmelo. You'll make him out. All right, he's gonna run over top of that watching the world right there. You could even see he has a hood on his head. Okay, as I back it up, that's to the swing. You see the swing? When I back it up, he was leaning in. You see that? He was already leaning in. And when I go all the way back to Austin coming to push Karmelo or break them up or whatever he's doing right here, I want to argue that he's breaking them up. See this? Look at Austin. He comes over. These other two are already involved. Look. He pushes. I don't know if he's breaking them up or whatever he's doing, but he gets stabbed. But look here. You can see the shoulder blade of this kid here. Okay? This kid's going to raise back up on his knees and swing at Karmelo. Look. That's the second kid. The other kid stabbed over here. All right? You see this? I'm going to show you he's on his knees. Look at here. You can see his shorts cut off right here. His knees are on the bench. You can see his 2 feet. You can see the back of this foot and the back of this foot, okay? He's on his knees. He's not sitting on his butt even when Austin approaches. You see that? He's on his knees when he pulls back up on his knees and he swings at Karmelo. Look, it's right there. Just for the people that are having a hard day or their eyes are not working too good, look at this swing. Here's the arm. Here's his right arm. Watch this. That's the second guy that was sitting in front of Karmelo. In court, they said it was Hunter. Look. You see that? And before that, look what he was doing. He was leaning on Karmelo. Look at there. You can see the head here. At this point, Austin is stabbed. You see the arch in his gut where they said he was struck in the abdomen, but technically it hit his heart. But the coach that came to rescue him, he said that, you know, when he pulled off Austin's shirt, he could see he was hit in the abdomen. Okay. But obviously the specialist said it struck his heart. We get that. All right. So there you have it, folks. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. You could actually see a heart there. That's what gave me an indication. It's probably like I think he was coming to break it up. You know what I mean? Look at this. I felt like he was coming to break it up. Cause see, here's the thing, right? Carmelo says, I told him not to hit me or whatever. He says him. Everybody assume it's Austin because Austin was stabbed. But ultimately, when you actually think about it, right? Mike Howard said Hunter approached first. That's consistent to what I'm showing you, right? And then Austin. All right. So I think you guys, I'll get to the comments now, but I just wanted to show you guys that. All right. I'm going to bring the twins back up. Okay. Thank you guys for letting me do that. So what do you think about that?
Can you still hear us, Mel?
Yeah, we can hear you. You
We
can't
can't
hear
hear
me?
you.
Oh, you have to go out and come back in. I'm sorry.
All right. Let's see.
Jack, if you want to come up, Jack, you feel free to come up. I'll drop the link
Where
in
is it?
case.
Why is it not coming up?
Okay, let me see.
It
Here
won't
we
let-
go. Okay, so guys, Jack, if you want to come up, I'm going to drop the link for you. If anyone wants to come up, you can feel free to do so. All right. Thank you very much. The twins are going to be coming back in. Feel free to join the discussion if you want to. I haven't been able to see the comments as I was showing you that, but there's a real big issue when there's 2-on-1. I think it should have came out in court.
Meticulous.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
All right. So tell me your thoughts on that.
Mel, I say everyone is wondering why Carmelo didn't take the stand. I have a question. Why didn't Hunter? Right? Hunter is right there in the moment. I think he even, gave a story or something about how his twin died in his arms or he was holding him. Why didn't he take the stand?
Because he would have sold it if he had got up there
And
on
cried.
that stand and
this
cried.
listen, you guys, this is not just my twin. This is my long life partner. This is my best friend. If you think that I'm going to just sit around and let someone fight her, attack her, do anything to her, and I not intervene, you must be on the mushrooms that Worski said he wish he had one because if he had one, he would have popped it right now. You got to be on something. You cannot be thinking logically. Twins are so much more connected than just the ordinary sister or brother. Male, it is strong. Okay, it is a really strong bond, and there is no way. I understand you're saying that Austin could have been trying to break it up. I digress. Hunter said Austin always had his back, no matter what. So it was his place to tell what his dearest brother was doing in that moment that led to his demise. So I feel like Hunter should have taken the stand.
Mhm.
He was up there.
He could have sold it.
Yeah, he could
He
have
had
sold
got
it.
up there on that stand and he had lost it and relived that moment. Carmelo would have definitely, he wouldn't have had 35 years. He would have had more. So why didn't Hunter take the stand?
Yeah.
Hunter's
Yeah,
right there. He's the number one witness.
that
Why
would have
didn't you,
caused some
Hunter?
serious problems for him,
Yeah, I know. We all know. That's why Worski and Mitchell did what they did. Trying to get these boys a blanket again and a pillow and their little binky and say, hush, my child, don't worry, I'll take care of it. That's the problem.
All right, very good, guys. We've been on Carmelo for far too long now. We have to move on to Nolan Wells just for a little bit. What are your latest thoughts on Nolan Wells?
Mel, you have to update me actually on the. I know that there's some type of new picture, some photo or something. I think you were trying to show us that a new photo or something surfaced, and they were trying to say that he wasn't on the boat. I saw that a new attorney joined the team, a new criminal defense attorney joined the team. But yeah, man, you got to get us up to speed.
Okay. All right. Yeah. There's nothing outstanding in regards to the case other than what we've covered. There's a new photo that they came out with in regards to Nolan Wells, but he's not on the boat. It's a kid who has on blue shorts, and they say, "Oh, that's Nolan." It's not even Nolan. So these TikTokers and people, they just come up with anything to get clicks sometimes, and it causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah, why are they trying to make everyone that has on a pair of blue shorts be Nolan? Oh, and dark skin. I even think that they tried to identify somebody who was like 3-4 shades darker than Nolan. Nolan is light skinned. Look at his mom. He's very light skinned. He's a light skinned African American male. But why is it that they're trying to create a picture of everyone wearing blue shorts? They want that to be Nolan. Um, Well, I think there's definitely some foul play. A lot of people think that, oh, what if it's just, and I see people keep saying, oh, he drowned, he drowned. Well, how are you so sure? The investigators definitely haven't come out and said that he's drowned. The medical examiner that examined his body, his lungs and things first, they haven't come out and said that he drowned, right? So why are you guys spewing that lie, saying that he drowned? We know that you want that to be the resolution, because you all want to protect these kids. You want to protect these innocent boys. You don't want anything, bashful to come out about these, anything bashing, or distasteful to come out about these kids. But there is some foul play, with the Nolan Well situation, Mel. And I do hope that, a lot of people are thinking that, we're not going to get justice behind this, but I really hope for the opposite. Man, I really hope that, they can crack this one wide open, because it does not make sense as to why this young man is the only one that did not come back. He went out there fine. This is only a strip of land, and it's surrounded by so much water, and you have so many people out there, according to Warren, and no one knows what happened to Nolan.
Okay. I know we moved on, but Gravedigger says if someone push you and you murder them, you put yourself at risk of going to prison for a long time.
Well, we've already debunked that it was more than a push. Did you not listen to Mel Gravedigger? But I can tell you this, Gravedigger, if you go around pushing people, then you are digging your grave. How about that? If you think you can go around pushing people for the hell of it, you are digging your grave. Again, keep your hands to yourself, and you teach your kids to keep their hands to themselves, and you don't have to worry about anybody inflicting any type of harm upon you.
Okay. All right. Very good. So getting back to Nolan, a lot of people are upset because I guess what I did hear this week is that the family had raised the amount of money. I guess they originally raised 750,000, and now they increased it to 950,000. People are saying that, oh, this is all about money and there's no crime. What do you say about that's the biggest discussion that I'm seeing now when I'm online?
Mel, every time, people are raising money for things they want to say that is grifting, or people, this they're just putting on a show, or just begging for money. They're beggars, but these are real life situations, okay, that people are facing. They need mail. For one, they probably can't work, right? They probably. I know that Carmelo's parents, Drew, I think he lost his job or something. But in regards to Nolan Wells, them their jobs are being affected. Even they even attacked the mom's position. This is a stellar nurse, an outstanding nurse. And they attacked her career. But lawyers, experts, all of that, Mel, from my understanding, they have fees associated with them. And not all of us are, spoon fed. Not all of us are fortunate enough to, be passed down an inheritance from our great grandpappy and the great 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 grandpappy. Some of us have to work and make a living. And when you are hit with these unforeseen circumstances, Mel, it puts you in a predicament where sometimes you do have to create those types of platforms to be able to support the expense of the unfortunate, unforeseen tragedy that you've been hit with. So I don't think it's a grift. I do understand that things hit you sometimes out of nowhere like a ton of bricks, and you just try to maintain, whether that's, with being able to work and pay your bills daily, or affording attorneys and things to try and get justice for your 18-year-old baby, Meal. You got to pay somebody to fight the system to tell me what happened to my baby. Why did I have to bury my baby? What went wrong?
Is it true that GoFundMe takes 50%?
I don't know, Mel. I honestly don't know. I cannot answer that. Maybe someone else does. I mean, someone else can, but I don't know, Mel. But if they do, that is crazy. And that is why they upped it. That
I'm
is
gonna
crazy.
I'm gonna look it up now, but that's what I heard. I heard they take 50%. I could be wrong though. Let
What do you
me
think?
let me get this to you here. Um, Gravedigger says nobody said you can go around pushing people, but the law states that your defense must be reasonable and proportional. Even if someone broke into your house, you may not be able to murder them. What do you say about that?
I say I digress. Because the law, allowed George Zimmerman and Derek Chauvin and all the rest of these coward bastards to do things around here that do not support the law. So yeah, I don't care what the law says. I think the law is built for people like you, look like you, and to support you guys and not us. The law can say different things, but for some reason they can always twist it. They can always twist it and make it so it just fits in you guys' puzzle and never ours. So again to that, I'm gonna say if you don't start nothing, it won't be nothing. Why do we have to try to defend? Well, I can push you, but you better not do anything more than push me back. Why are we sitting here trying to defend this type of behavior? Why not get it through your freaking skull to keep your hands to yourself? What gives you the urge to want to push someone? Huh? What gives you the urge to want to put your hand on someone because they're talking or something? Listen. You probably need to go take Jeff's class. I don't know. Maybe he has something to offer you about your emotional control. Keep your hands to yourself. Let me know what you get from it. Let me know, if it satisfies you or if you come out of there still feeling like you can push somebody. You better not do nothing more than push me back. I'm telling you, some people, you don't know what they're going through, what they're experiencing in life, what they have gone through. It's just best to give people their space, stay out of their space. Do not, be a threat to them and keep your hands. I don't understand what's so hard about it. Why y'all feel so entitled to put your hands on people? It's crazy. It's
So
crazy.
I have the update for you.
What's the update, Mel?
All right. So for a standard U.S. individual business fundraiser, GoFundMe currently charges 2.9%. So right at almost 3%. That's hardly nothing in comparison to 800, 900,000. So whoever said that was wrong. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's good that they don't, take everyone's money. I mean, take that much from someone who's raising money, apparently for, a reason, an apparent reason. It's good that they don't take 50% because, man, they would really have to set a goal for that, Mel. I mean, a real goal. And that those funds, I don't know why the funds are being discussed and why it's an issue because it's not like this is something that's going to be solved tomorrow or something that's going to be solved next month. These people are looking to be in this for the long run. So the funds are actually going to support them in the long run as well. Who knows how long they're going to be doing this, Meal? It's already been, what, are we counting on a month and a half and still no justice for Nolan Wells?
No justice, right?
No,
So
nothing.
who's to say how long
We
they're
don't
going to
have
be in this?
anything. Nothing but speculation and a bunch of criticism. People criticizing everybody for trying to say the boys did it, trying to say that the boys didn't do it. Just a bunch of hoopla. That's what we got. Nothing. We don't have anything.
So, I mean, let them be with their funds. If they did raise their funds, at
We
least
got
made it.
we have an audio. We have an audio.
All right.
Nolan.
People are asking that I show it again. Can somebody explain to me why does everybody want me to show this again? Is there a debate happening? Just right here quickly. Why do you guys want me to show it again? Yes, Phil, it's my interpretation that I feel that Austin could have been breaking them up. I'll show you why. But I just want to know, why do people need to want to see it again? Is it because you just arrived? Is that the issue? Or what? Is there a debate going on? Somebody tell me really quickly here. Come on, guys, get those fingers going. All right. Okay, no evidence of Nolan's case. The media wants it to be black and white case. Okay, nobody's really addressing the issue at hand. All right, so I'm going to go through this really quickly again for you guys. I was hoping to understand why, but anyway, I'll go through it one more time. Okay, you just arrived. Okay, so here we have it. You have Austin here. Okay. I went to court. I heard all the testimony. Most of those children, they put Hunter sitting in front of Karmelo. That's why, if you look here, you see this is Karmelo's head. Hunter is supposed to be sitting in front of him, but I'm going to show you that I think he's leaning on Karmelo as Austin arrives. Okay. That would fit to what Mike Howard said at the hearing, that Hunter was the first to approach. Now, I want you guys to keep in mind, right? I want to break this down at a higher level. When it comes to someone sitting in front of you at bleachers, okay? All right. So imagine somebody sitting in front of you in some bleachers. How much space do you have between you and the person? Okay. Sometimes I'm 6 feet tall. Uh, Usually, the person sitting in front of me in the bleachers, my knees will hit them in the back. Okay, you don't have a lot of space. Okay, you don't have a lot of space. Now, I want you to keep in mind what I just told you. If Hunter is sitting right in front of Karmelo, Hunter tells you when he's on the front lawn with his mother, he says, "A boy is sitting behind me," and he's saying all these terrible things. You know how he's talking, right? Well, that boy, probably his knees, if you lean back, his knees would hit you in the back. So you mean to tell me there's a boy talking all this smack to you and you never turn around? See, these kids came in and said Hunter was just sitting there politely and Carmelo was shooting off at the mouth, right? So it just don't make sense. So I'm going to show you now that Hunter was actually, or the guy that's sitting in front of Carmelo, he's actually on his knees facing Carmelo. And then I'm going to show you Austin comes over, and in my interpretation, he joins in on something that's already moving. So I'm going to show you this now. Okay, guys, hit the like button, share, subscribe. I am extremely tired. I've been doing lives all day with the attorney that I'm about to bring up, so I'm going to blame him. No, Jack, I'm about to bring up Jack. He'll be able to take over a little bit for me to give some water. Anyway, this is Austin right here. Okay, this is Carmelo's head. I'm going to argue that you already see the guy in front of him. He's not sitting, he's leaning. He's already involved with Carmelo. I think Austin comes over to break it up, or he comes over. Some of the boys said he did a lineman's drill. I'm going to show you that from the transcripts. But watch this. Here he goes. He pushes. It's almost like you can see this guy here, and this is Carmelo. You can see he gets stabbed, right? As he gets stabbed, you see the gap, right? You see like somebody hit you because the coach said that when he pulled off Austin's shirt, he had a cut high in his abdomen. Now, of course, the medical experts said it touched his heart, but from the look of it, you could see it was more abdomen, okay? So he's leaning back like he falls back, and ultimately he falls over here, and you'll see all these people start falling down if I played the whole video. So he's falling back. I want you to now see, okay, Carmelo runs up here. You can see the hood is still on top of his head, okay? You can see it right around his head. Now you see Hunter standing here. Well, not even standing here. You can see he has on a black top, black shorts, but you can see his knee is on this bleacher. Here's the back of foot one. Here's the back of foot two. You can see he's on his knees, okay? All right, now watch this. When I back it up, watch him swing at Carmelo. Watch this. You see that swing? This is his arm. It swings in Carmelo's direction. This is all in 4 to 5 seconds. So Carmelo is going to be swung on after he comes back up on his knees, but Carmelo runs away really fast. Watch this swing. You see the swing? You see the swing here? Check this out. That's the swing. It's a left arm swing right like this right here. He swings at him. Okay? Now, here's my argument. Let's go to the swing. The swing is there. When I back up, watch that boy's body. It's leaned in toward Carmelo. Look at there. You see this is his shoulder arch. You can see the head. You can see the arch. This is at the point when Austin is getting stabbed. So this boy is already on Karmelo. Austin, now let me show you. So now we see that this boy is leaning in. You can almost see this looks like his shoulder blades here, head on Karmelo. When he backs up on his knees, Karmelo is now free to run. He runs, he swings at him. You see that? See, once he stabs the brother, he lets up all for him. Look at there. You can see him being stabbed here. This boy is already on Karmelo, right? Watch this. When this boy pulls up, and actually, let me show you right here. You can see his left arm is like this. You see that? You see the gap here? You see that? Now watch when he backs up. Watch this. He backs up and he swings. That frees Karmelo to run. That boy's on his knees. Look at his shorts drop right here. His knees are on the bench. You can see it right here. Here's his two shoes. You see his feet, right? You can see his feet. You see he's on his knees. Okay, so let's swing that back again. He swings at Karmelo. Karmelo runs. But before that, look, he's leaning on Karmelo. Look, this kid was leaning on Karmelo. When he backs up off Karmelo and swings at him, Karmelo runs. And then in less than 2 or 3 seconds, Karmelo run. That's why Karmelo left his backpack. He left everything. He left everything right there because, he had no choice. They were on his behind. So now I want to show you one last thing. Now we're going to tie this together. Look at when Austin runs over. I'm arguing that he's separating the two boys right here. Look, watch this. I'm arguing that he's trying to separate these two boys and he gets stabbed. Look at this. My argument is, look, Austin comes to separate them two. He gets stabbed. And then the brother realizes what's happening. He backs up. He swings at Karmelo. Karmelo runs off. So this whole bullshit about the boy sitting on his butt, minding his business, and this kid's behind him. No, all that's just... Now listen, if you don't believe me, check this out. When you listen to Hunter, Hunter says he was sitting over. He looked over. He said his brother went and grabbed the boy's backpack. There's no backpack. Unless Carmelo's a backpack. I mean, I'm not trying to make it a joke, but I'm saying unless Karmelo is a backpack, we can see. See, here's the thing that I want you to understand. And I break it down in the video. If you go back 2 days ago on my live, I break it all down. I put all these videos together. But here's the deal. When you look at the stadium from the west camera, by the time you zoom it in, it's blurred like this. Because imagine you're at the Knicks game. No, forget about that. The Cowboy game. And all the way across the stadium, your camera has a zoom on somebody in a tent across the entire stadium. See, that's why it's pixelated. But here's the thing. When they had the video expert, the first witness in court, I'm in court taking notes. I'm doing my thing, right? I'm looking at the guy, looking at... They say to him, so at the end of the day, this video, this is the best you can have. He says, yeah, it's pixelated. But they asked the video, Toby Shook, I believe, asked the video expert. He says, but listen, can you hear what they're saying if they're arguing? He says, no. The video expert says no. He says, if somebody turned their head, would you be able to see it? And the video expert said, it depends on how they're sitting. And so my argument to you today is this. Just like you could tell if somebody turned their head, perhaps, he's substantiating that when you saw that swing, yeah, you're seeing a swing. I know some of you want to play a little bit slow today or whatever. I get this all the time. Oh, we don't see a swing. But if you pay attention, you can see a swing. You could also see what appears to be Austin going to separate two boys. He's not going. I can't say that. It's still limited. But based on what I'm seeing is, I think this whole deal was between Hunter and Karmelo. The sharp item was intended probably for Hunter. Austin ran over and got it. And that's a hard thing to live with if that's the case. All right. Now, he could have went in to join in on the action. I can't really speak on that. I'm just giving you the consistency of what we can potentially make out, but we don't know 100% when it comes to this video. All right, so let's we're gonna have our guest back up, and we have Jack along with us too. All right, guys. Welcome in, Jack. Tell everybody who you are.
Thank you, as always, Attorney Jack Palmieri. You can find me at Jack Palmieri Law. I'm a 20-year plus criminal defense attorney. I currently work out of Florida. I used to do New York. I do a few cases across the country here and there. And criminal defense is my specialty. I'm a former prosecutor, former public defender, and now I do private practice. And I deal with cases like this and all others on a daily basis. And I thank you for having me.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So tell me what your thoughts are in regards to what we're seeing here, if you have any at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, first, I want to thank you for your analysis of the video. To me, this screams reasonable doubt. That's always been the point for me from a legal perspective, is this is not a case, it's not clear cut to me. It was never an allegation that Karmelo went over there and at the blue stabbed someone. There was an altercation. There was a group of people and Carmelo was by himself, right? I think those are undisputed facts. There was physical contact made on Carmelo first. And I think people are dismissing the mental intent of Austin and Hunter. People are dismissing what the words could have been. People are dismissing what the atmosphere could have been. And the reason why I say that particular today is, there's another trial going on right now, Lindsay Clancy, and her case is similar where there is no doubt that she committed the heinous acts she's accused of doing. She did them. The question is, what was her mental state at the time she did them? That's always been one of my arguments here. And what we learned about the twins at the motion for the retrial goes strictly to that point of who they were really, who they could have been in that moment, what they could have relayed to Carmelo about how they felt about him, about what kind of person he is, right? And I mean that in a very superficial sense, and what their intentions were with him and towards him, and how Carmelo responded to that. Proportionate force is also relative, and it's proportionate if it's a one-on-one versus proportionate to a 6-on-1. When you have, you and the twins are saying you have at least the brothers, but there were other people there. This did not seem to be a fair fight or a one-on-one. I've always maintained the bleachers themselves, an inherently dangerous place to be in, not the place you want to get knocked over, punch in your head, and fall on the concrete. And look at how much time all of us here, right, are spending breaking the video down second by second, rewinding, fast forwarding, and we still can't come to a concise, conclusive agreement. Now, I've always said, put yourself in Carmelo's shoes, play it once, real time. No rewind, no second chances. That's exactly the kind of opportunity you get when you think your life is in danger. The twins made an amazing point before. For those who still feel, well, regardless, Carmelo was ultimately in the wrong. Hunter Austin never had a right to get physical. And they said it so perfectly. Don't want none, don't start none, won't be none, right? Don't mess around, don't find out. To the extent people want to say to some degree, Austin and Hunter were right, well, what did it get them? It got them one dead twin, right? Sometimes being right, if you think that, isn't the point and isn't enough. There's no reason to be right if you're going to be dead for it. So there's no, oh, well, I had a right to be physical with Carmelo and he shouldn't have stabbed me. Well, don't get physical, right? Don't create this atmosphere. And I still maintain Carmelo, as I hear more and more, we learn more and more. I want to see him get a retrial. I want to see this go through the appellate process and have it come back. The twins, they brought up something so amazing. Imagine if defense counsel had called Hunter to the stand as a defense witness. Man, you'd have the jury thinking, why did the state not call the twin on their own? What is Hunter hiding? Right? And you put him and you show as a defense attorney, as a defendant, I am not scared of the twin. I am going to use you to prove my point. You are hiding for the same reason I am calling you. When I do trials, when I do a lot of injunctions here in Florida, I will call the petitioner, the victim, all the time. I'll call them first if I have to make the point. You're not getting away from me. And this could have gone so many different ways. I think it's not clear. It's not fair to say it's so clear with this pixelated video only with no audio. To rule out every other plausibility but possibility, it's disingenuous.
Okay, very good. The twins, what do you think so far about this?
Mel, I agree wholeheartedly with Jack. Jack is stellar. We watch him all the time on your shows when you bring him up. He's not biased, Mel. You know, he lays it out, he gives you the truth. And he made a great point. Like we have, spent so much time, all of us, different people have different views trying to understand what happened under the tent, what was the intent of Austin, what was the intent of Carmelo, and we don't have that. And what is the best way for us to even get that, Mel? What's the best way for us to get that? A retrial, because you guys clearly, even if you did it out of good intent or goodwill, you violated this young man's right. You didn't say, hey, Carmelo, we are considering doing this and we understand that it may violate your rights, but can we at least have your permission to violate your rights? None of that. They did what they wanted to do to protect those boys and paint a picture of them, like they were, the greatest gifts of whatever. And the information that was withheld, Mel and Jack, was critical. It was needed, it was necessary to support Carmelo and why he felt he had to act the way that he did, what happened under that tent, what was that moment like, and he was robbed of it. So I say to give all of us the context that we need. I mean, Carmelo's testimony, hell, even Hunter's testimony, right? We want to know what went on. What can you tell us about the end? Retrial. Let's fix it. Let's do this thing the right way. Let's have a retrial.
Okay, so here's my question for you, Jack. This is all about proportionality, right? So Carmelo is sitting on the bleacher. He's 140 pounds soaking wet. You have Hunter sitting directly in front of him. His knees is probably touching his back at different angles, right? He's roughly 205 pounds. Austin standing over, whatever, he's 225. He's 6'1". Based on the court, nothing came out about jumping. I sat in court. I listened for it. I wanted to have that argument. It was not there. It wasn't there. Even in the audio where Carmelo is being arrested, he doesn't say they jumped me. He says I told him, right? It's always him. Okay, so the court argument is based on Austin. If Austin is attacking him, proportionality is too much to stab him, right? They say it's non-proportionate. Does it change the proportionality if now you find out that Hunter was bearing down, fighting, whatever he was doing to Carmelo, and then Austin runs over as the second party? Does that change the proportionality argument for court and it should be heard by a jury? That's my question to you.
Absolutely. You know, uh, when you have even a 2-on-1 and you're the one, right? You have one target in front of you, and then the second one could flank you, could come around behind you. You can only keep eyes on one person at a time. Even a 2-on-1, it is not unheard of to hear someone pass away from being punched or kicked or just bare hands, especially if you have the weight and the strength and the physicality. And that's just one person, not to mention the environment, right? This is not a padded gym. This is concrete bleachers, all right? We've seen in sporting events, people having more just common fisticuffs, drunken brawls, and people getting seriously injured from the environment. That comes into play. It all is relevant. Carmelo knew the environment he was in. He saw the size of the opponents. And again, when you have multiple people coming at you, that is, it just takes two to be a mob. It just takes two to be a team. And he's by himself. He's by himself physically. He's by himself literally. He was alone in every sense. No one could convince me that he absolutely had a safe way out of that situation. They were clearly getting up, starting to surround, starting to flank, starting to encompass him, right? He has literally seconds to make a decision, to make a reaction. If it's 2-on-1 and you have that size disadvantage, it's absolutely real. That's the whole point. Again, I did with you before, if not for Karmelo defending himself, this plays out probably the same kind of charges against the brothers. So it absolutely is relevant. It should have come in the first time. That's why I think on appeal, we're going to see an ineffective assistance of counsel argument here of just so much that his trial counsel could have and maybe should have done. Just a different layer to this case. This was sold to the jury of the first trial in such a two-dimensional fashion, and there was really so many more layers to this that create the reasonable doubts. Again, Karmelo never has a burden to prove he's innocent. The state has to prove he's guilty beyond the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. And then you have to take his self-defense claim into consideration. I think the more this goes on, the more we learn, the more you see it's not so binary. It's very layered. There's a lot of gray here.
All right. So I want to ask those in the audience, because I'm starting to see mixed messages. Put a 1 in the chat if you think two individuals were attacking Karmelo in some form or fashion, two involved. Put a 2 in the chat if you think it was just one-on-one Austin and Karmelo. So 1 if you think Hunter and Austin were involved in some way against Karmelo. Put a 2 if you think it was just one-on-one. And I just want to see, put a 3 if you cannot determine. I just want to see where everybody sits. I want to ask the twins, what would you think is the main reason why the judge... I need to mute you. I'm sorry. We're getting feedback. What do you think the main reason why the judge did not approve this second trial?
Mel, reputation. He has a reputation to uphold, Mel, if you ask me, because
Well, I don't think he did it on reputation, because his reputation is that he's supposed to go off of facts, and he's supposed to. This is a judge that normally does it by the books. This is a judge that is, he's known for doing it by the books, whatsoever. Mel, I think, in my honest opinion, that there is some type of ties on down the line, because I don't know if you remember me saying or not, but when Worski took the stand, it was ironic that, when he was referencing why he had to shut off access to this case, he references a case that happened in Kaufman County, which happens to be where the sitting judge was from. And he gives reason as to, there was a DA that came up murdered in Kaufman County. And some people feel like, it gave the judge a hint of, what happened, or, maybe a favor for a favor, or I did this, or something could have happened within that case to, remind the judge or give the judge a recollection. But I just find it odd, Mel, that out of all the cases that you could talk about, you reference one that happened to, take place in Kaufman County, the exact county that the judge is sitting from. So, I don't think that it had anything to do with the record. Again, Russell sealed it. He laid it out. He helped me understand. He helped a lot of others understand who are not familiar with law. He broke it down just that elementary. Mel, it was black and white. You had no other choice but to see it. I think that here in Texas, that we're just being honest, and even other places, these people, they have ties, they have connections. The corruption is at an all-time high. Like, if I'm being honest, if we are being honest, Mel, it happens. It's not unordinary for it not to exist. It happens. So I don't know. You know what, man, that's a good question, because from my understanding, I thought that the judge was supposed to provide some type of reason, or as to why he didn't, support that. But the only thing that we got was a piece of paper which, scratched through, drawn through like that. Come on, you know, is that what you do? Is that professional? You couldn't even provide a reason. You didn't even have time to sum it up and say, hey, I find this, or these are my findings. None of that. You just give us a piece of paper drawn through, to say this day and yada yada yada. I don't know, Mills. You're like Calvin says, there's a fungus among us.
All right, very good. So we have most people answering that they believe the two twins were both involved in the incident. The minority says two. All right, thank you. Jack, would you like to sum us up for tonight? We're going to close out in any moment now.
Sure. So just real quickly, I think this is not the end for Carmelo, but this is now a much longer road. The appellate process is very timely. Now his case will be at the end of the line, the back of the queue, with all the other appeals before him. Appeals take years. And so as far as what happens in the public, it'd be different. I hope we see Carmelo again back in courts. I'm rooting for him. And really, part of that is thanks to what all of you are doing. So I thank you guys for the coverage. It's been really helpful, I think, to everyone.
Thank you.
Watching from the window as the rain begins to fall. Different streets, but we're walking through it all. You carry your story and I carry mine, but the weight feels the same when we stand in line. And I know we don't look the same, but I hear you calling my name, standing together, watching the world go round, standing together. We won't let it tear us down. Your hands know a language mine never learned, but the fire inside us both still burns. Different colors painted on the same old sky. Every shade is beautiful if you just look twice. And I know we don't sound the same, but I feel you calling my name, standing together, watching the world go round, standing together. We won't let it tear us down, standing together. Our differences keep us strong, standing together. This is where we belong. Nobody said it would be easy to see through another man's eyes, but the love that we keep building is worth every compromise. Standing together, watching the world go round, standing together. We won't let it tear us down. Standing together, our differences keep us strong. Standing together, this is where we belong.
Right.